I took these pictures near my local dog park to get an idea of the shape of the stems and the flowers. And you can see the flowers have little clusters of yellow attached by little stems meeting the main stem. Here's a picture that I took head on so you could see how the clusters look. But I'm not going to copy this. I don't want to do it too realistic, as my style is loose, wetting, wet. So that's how I'm going to paint this. I've got my 11 by 14 sheet, and I'm painting on hot press paper, but this can be done on cold press too. I just tend to favor hot press paper because I love it. And I'm hoping that you can see the drawing. I did a very pale drawing of a number of these stems coming up with a very rough outline of the flower heads, and I deliberately want to keep it rough. I'm hoping the pencil lines will go away. And so the first thing I'm going to do is fill in the little clusters of flower heads with masking fluid, and for that I'm using the back end of this wooden skewer. Simple as that. And what I'm going to do is I've done most of them except for one, so that we can save some time, and I'm just going to demonstrate to you how I do them by doing this last one. So basically I just dip it in the masking fluid and do little clusters, 3 or 5, and let the clusters sort of touch each other. And don't worry if you make a mistake here, because you can wait until the masking fluid dries and then just wipe it off. Don't ever try to wipe it off when the masking fluid is wet. You want to put these fairly close together. I'm actually putting them closer together than they are on the actual flowers, because otherwise it's going to look a little sparse when it's finished. So you can see what I'm doing here, doing about 3 or 4 clusters, sometimes 5, and then just letting them sort of touch each other, but you can see that they are they have irregular shapes, and that's really what matters. If you try to do it too realistic, you're not going to get this nice loose effect. So there we are. And then once this is dry, I'm going to take some more. I'm going to use the masking fluid to spatter some drops on the paper, so that at the end we're going to, because these we're going to, when we take this off at the end, it's going to be painted in yellow, the yellow of the flowers. But I want to put some spatters on here and some stems with masking fluid, so that some of the white of the paper will show through and give it more of a three-dimensional look. Now the next thing I want to do is to take my mapping pen. You can buy these on Amazon. I think it's called a mapping pen. And I've got a very narrow opening there, and I'm going to mask out some stems, and I'm also going to splosh some drops of masking fluid on the paper, so that at the end of the painting, when we take all of this off and we paint the flower heads yellow, there'll be some white of the paper showing through too, which just gives it more dimension. So I'm going to take my mapping pen, and you really just want to be random with this, and it really doesn't matter about being very precise. Now these, you just got to remember that these flowers do have very stick-like stems. Now you see I don't like that there, but I'll wait till it dries and then I'll rub it off. Never try to get rid of masking fluid when it's wet. You'll just make it worse, make the situation worse. And just want to basically, you don't want to do the stems in the same place where you've drawn your stems that are going to be painted with watercolor. So you just random. I might even leave some of these little blotches. It's because if you look at a fennel flower, the branches coming out from the main branch have these little sort of, oh, I didn't like that. That'll go when okay, I think that's enough for that. If you don't have a mapping pen, you can use your palette knife just by using the tip. You dip the palette knife into the masking fluid and use the tip like this, and you can get the same sort of results. So that's another way to go if you don't have a mapping pen. And we can also get different sized droplets on the paper by using the back of, putting some masking fluid on the back of the spatula. So you want some small, big, do it sort of just in random areas. No, put a bit up there. And I think that'll do it. So I don't know if you can see what I've done there. I've got quite a few different size droplets, and we're going to let all of that dry, and then we'll put our first background wash on the painting.